How do you know what a nigga be making? The way I be grinding and moving and shaking. The way I be up all night back and forth pacing. Money so close and you know I could taste. How do you know that these rappers ain't lying about all that money they say that they get? They be in love with the likes and the follows, unfollows, the comments and all of the mentions. How do you know that a nigga ain't stressed? How do you know that I ain't getting checks? I'm making music and I'm making merch and I put that go green right on my chest. How do you know that a nigga ain't ballin'? I never be stallin', I'm always on go. I know you never be focused on business, that's why all your money be coming in slow. How do you know that your partners ain't fake? How do you know that your partners won't hate? How do you know that your partners ain't jealous and won't end up taking that food off your plate? How do you know that that woman that tell you she love you ain't really out here running game? How do you know that she really ain't plotting and scheming to really take all of your change? How do you know? 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 How do you know?
Yeah. How do you know? If pro on your shit, then it's probably a gold. Everything hitting is quality control. I feel like I'm Yachty LeBeau. I poly with hoes. She came with a friend, but I potty them both. I potty on flows. I'm up like a Willie when they put the Cotty on roads. How do you know these rappers be rapping the life of these songs since they really live? Here's the gag. Most of these niggas is capping, they homeless with nowhere to live. Renting these cars to flex on the ground. They diamonds is cloudy and they never real. For pennies, they signing their life away. Sugar daddies on their mouths. These niggas is kids. But fuck all the talking, a nigga been ballin' so long with this greenie, they call me the troll. Ain't no competition when speaking on rappers, cause I don't see rappers, man, I just see food. That beautiful struggle, I started with nothing, I had to go hustle and boss up the moves. Now I'm like a goat in my city, I show up dripping, diamonds wet as a corner of a clothes.
How do you know? 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 How do you know?